speak about permanent to people like y'all. Today, I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of an overview of talking at the beginning broadly about what a digital legacy is, why you might care about, why it might be important to you. And then I'll talk about how permanent.org got started, why we became a nonprofit, and how you can preserve your digital legacy on Permanent. So I'll go ahead and get started so that we hopefully have plenty of time at the end for some questions if anybody has any. So just as a quick agenda, the first thing I'll talk about is a little bit about digital legacies, and then I'll talk about the Permanent Legacy Foundation, what our model is, our nonprofit status, and things like that. I'm also going to show you a demo archive, something that one of our permanent community members has created on Permanent to kind of show you what is possible with Permanent, what you can hope to achieve with Permanent, give you kind of an idea of what sorts of things you can build. And then I'll go over a couple of features and things to get you started on Permanent if you decide that that's something that you want to pursue. So just to kind of kick us off, what is a digital legacy? Why is it important? So as humans, I think most of us feel some sort of innate sense that we want to leave a mark on the world or we want to be remembered by people. I think, that's probably especially true. I think y'all are a group of genealogists, and you research people's stories. You want to share those stories with your loved ones and your communities because we can learn from these stories of people in the past and we can connect with people in the past and find lots of meaning in that. And so all of the things that people leave behind, whether that be photographs we've created or documents that document our life or, artifacts, things that we have in our home, in our community, those things can get left behind by previous generations and we can take those and learn from them. The problem is that, especially for individual people in small communities, most of the time those sorts of materials don't ever make it into our official records, our libraries, our archives, things like that. Significant people in our communities, in our countries, get, presidential libraries. We've got the Smithsonian, and those tell really important stories. But there's also a lot of really important stories that individuals themselves have, and that we can learn from. And even if something, makes it to a library or museum, those are things that are probably going to survive decades, centuries, but I'm sure we've all had the experience of maybe our parents or our grandparents leaving behind a wedding photo or things, a box of photos from their childhood that, somehow just end up in the back of the closet or in a garage. And, it can be really challenging to preserve those things. They might make it through a couple of decades in your garage, but especially as things become digital, that story it might be something that changes in the future. And so as we're starting to make more and more digital records and relying on analog material less and less, how are we going to pass on those things to the next generation? And there's a couple of different things that we have to consider when it comes to digital material versus analog. I come from a library background, and so a lot of things that have been preserved over time, they are things sometimes that had some amount of benign neglect. It was left in an attic, it was left in a cupboard drawer that somebody found years later. Paper sometimes holds up to that, depending on what the conditions are. There may be some weathering of the material, but mostly sometimes that is still readable, recoverable material, and then you can, take it and preserve it, and it'll probably be around for a while. Digital materials aren't necessarily like that, and the issues that digital materials present are sometimes more urgent. And that means that we have to be thinking about them now as we're creating them, as opposed to 20, 30, 40 years down the road. And so some things that are issues with digital material are that formats become obsolete. So I'm sure all of you have also had the bad experience of plugging in a hard drive or maybe finding a floppy disk or something like that of something that you really wanted to look at, but maybe you don't have a reader for your floppy disk anymore, or you are able to plug it in, but the data is corrupt. Or even perhaps it uses an old file format or something like that that is no longer able to be opened on your computer. We also, even the material today that goes in the cloud, if somebody doesn't have your password, your account information, two-factor authentication, even if that stuff still exists somewhere in the cloud, people might not be able to get access to it. And so in the past, when we had all this analog material, there's a little bit of like, we've forgotten about it for a while, but maybe we can find it again. And with digital, that might not happen as readily or as easily because of some of these dangers that digital material present. And so kind of with all of that said, at Permanent, we consider a digital legacy as the collection of digital materials that tell the stories that you wish to leave behind in the world. And so your digital legacy could be really anything you want, anything that is meaningful specifically to you or your loved ones or your community. So that could be the genealogical research you've done. It could also be the documentation of your community over time. Like maybe you have a community garden that's really important to your neighborhood. You could also think of your digital legacy as, the photos and documents and stuff of your immediate family that you want to pass on to your grandkids, or you want your children to be able to have pictures of their grandparents that, they might not have been around to meet or were very young when they passed away. Or really anything else that you find meaningful, anything digital that you hope to, might be available for the future generations. And so you may have heard in the past, like 15 or 20 years, historians and scholars worrying about what we call like a digital dark age. What they're concerned about is that with all of this digital material and the problems that I listed earlier about, corruption of data, not being able to locate devices or things like that, um, obsolete formats, that the material that we're creating today or that we've created over the past like really couple of decades may not be around for the future to learn from. And so, like I said before, like while your grandparents' photos may have survived in the back of the closet for a while, it's a lot less likely that your digital materials that you're creating today are going to be, kind of serendipitously found in the future. And so it's important to think about creating a digital legacy today because caring for digital material really is something that needs to be done constantly. And that's something that, can be a gift to your descendants and loved ones. Having your digital legacy, what you hope to leave behind, what you hope your, generations to come might learn from you or the things that you've done, being able to put that in one place and feel a little bit of peace of mind that, that is probably going to be around for them to find when they want it, can really be a gift for them. And so that's kind of why the Permanent Legacy Foundation was created. We are about, I think, 8 years old at this point, and we're a nonprofit organization. So the Permanent Legacy Foundation was created to provide a way for people like individuals, community groups, small organizations to have access to the resources that libraries and archives might have to preserve material, but that individuals might not have to preserve the things that they want to preserve. So we created a system called permanent.org. And that is a digital preservation cloud storage platform where people can get together and collaborate on building archives of material, digital material, or even digitized material that they want to share either with the next generation or just kind of with the world. And so our mission at Permanent is to preserve and provide perpetual access to the digital legacy of all people for the historical and educational benefit of future generations. And so I think really Permanent was created with that idea of all people, that we, want to give equal access to everybody to be able to preserve the stories that really matter to them. And so one of the ways that we do this is with our cost model. So, as I said, we are a nonprofit organization. And as a nonprofit, that is actually kind of part of our sustainability model, how we hope to be around in 50, 100, 200 years. So permanent is a little bit different from other cloud storage providers that you might be using in your personal life. Instead of having a subscription model, our storage fees are based on a one-time fee of $10 per gigabyte. So you pay it once, it takes care of that 1 gigabyte of storage, and you don't ever have to pay for that again to keep that material preserved. All of the storage fees and any donations we get to our nonprofit mission go into an endowment, and the endowment covers the cost of keeping that material stored, maintained, and maintaining permanent.org over time. And so you don't have to worry about, in a couple of decades from now, your kids or grandkids having to switch out credit cards and continue paying for something to ensure that this material is preserved. You pay for it once, it's taken care of, it's going to be on permanent indefinitely into the future. And so, with that being kind of an overview of Digital Legacies and the Permanent Legacy Foundation, I wanted to give you a quick demo of an archive that one of our community members, actually somebody here participated in one of our classes, what they created on Permanent to give you an idea of like what this could look like for you. So let me just switch my screen real fast, and I can make it bigger if that's helpful. Hopefully y'all can see. Let me switch that over here. Okay. So this is what we call a permanent.org public gallery page looks like. You can see it kind of looks a little bit similar to maybe some other social media sites that you've seen, but you can tell what archive we're in. This is the Hadsma Dairy Archive, and what this is the permanent member's family had a dairy archive in Michigan that has since closed, and she took all of the material that her family had. So that's, photos and records and contracts and things like that from their business.
Caitlin, can you make it full screen?
It is full screen.
It's very small.
I can, okay. Oh no. Let me see. Hold on. Does that help at all?
No.
No. That's so weird.
Maybe you get rid of her picture or something, and yeah, I can get rid of voice it. Make it bigger. Oh, that makes sense. That's a little better. Changes the position.
Could it be as, I don't know how y'all have the Zoom windows positioned. I think there's a way to make sure that the what's being presented is the bigger part of the screen and not like my picture or something like that.
Yeah. Oops. That's what we're trying to do. But yeah, that's weird. It's okay. Well, just go ahead.
Sorry about that. I can this is available on permanent.org/gallery. I can also send along some links that you can share if you wish. And I can also include the PowerPoint as well if you want, so that if anybody wants to review it later, they can.
Okay.
Cool. So you might not be able to see in very much detail, but this looks basically like an image gallery, essentially. And this is this person's public gallery page. And so this is the material that they have chosen they want to publish for the world to see on permanent.org. When you create an archive on Permanent, you don't necessarily have to publish everything that you put into your archive. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But I did want to kind of show you like what the public facing part of this could look like. And so when you create an archive, you can upload whatever digital material that you want to it. This person has organized their material into some folders and things like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to the photos because that might be the only thing that y'all are able to see. So when you're looking at a permanent archive, if you were to build something and then share it with others, this is kind of what they would see. I'll kind of scroll through some of these photos. I really like this archive because I think we get a lot of individual stories on permanent, obviously, but we don't have as many like businesses or kind of community organizations or things that were of value from the community. And so I really like the Dairy Archive because the pictures are great. I think the information is great. So when you open a file on permanent, you'll be able to kind of see the photo. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but if we zoom in and out, you can kind of see more detail on photos. Over here on the right side, which you might not be able to see, are some metadata fields. So when you upload anything to permanent, I like to say that when you're preserving something, you can't just rely on somebody being able to look at a photo and understand what's going on in the picture. So the metadata provides you with a place where you can tell more about the story, like who's in the photo, where was it taken, why was it taken, is there a special story behind this moment? So you have the opportunity to kind of describe your photos, and you can scroll through and see. This is one of my favorite photos of the dairy truck and the boy delivering milk on the bike. But this is kind of what an archive looks like. If I go to permanent.org/gallery, which I'll do here in a second, this is where it's kind of a landing page for all of the public facing material on permanent. And so if you are curious about, what others have made on permanent, or what even you could make yourself on permanent, you could take a look here. If you scroll down, you can see that we've got a couple of different featured archives from some of our, we have a grants program that provides free storage to nonprofit organizations and community groups to preserve their stories. So a couple of them are from our Bite for Bite program. We've got some, families and some individuals. And so this can be a really great place to kind of take a look and see if you learn something new, or also just kind of get some inspiration as you are kind of exploring permanent and thinking about what stories you might want to share. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my PowerPoint. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the kinds of things that you can do on permanent. Yeah. I heard a question.
I'm trying to look up permanent.org on my phone, and I get a weird website that comes up. It's not permanent.org. Is that, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I am not sure. Permanent.org should take you directly to our homepage. It looks here. It looks pretty similar to what we've got on a desktop site. It's blue.
Mine comes up with something that says permanent eyebrows, tattoo eyebrows, strong magnets.
I don't think that's it. Are you sure you typed in permanent.org?
PERMANET?
ENT.
ENT?
Yes.
Permanent.
I went online and got your site.
Okay, let me try that one.
You probably Googled it instead of putting an address.
No, I didn't. I'm typing in the name.
Oh my God.
Just missed the end.
Yeah, if you miss the end, that's not gonna work.
Yeah. I think you could also, if you need to, Google Permanent Legacy Foundation, and I think we're the first non-sponsored link.
How do you spell it again? Permanent?
Yeah, PERMANENT.
PERMANENT?
Yes.
ENT. Permanent. Okay, let me try that. I want to find it so I can use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that looks better. Okay, thanks.
Okay, great. Awesome. Wanted to make sure that nothing weird had happened, but that's great.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Awesome. No worries at all. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the sorts of things that you can do on permanent. If you're interested in kind of diving more into getting started on permanent and learning how to build your archive, we do have a monthly orientation for new members who sign up. I think the next one is on no, 2 weeks from now, 2 Wednesdays from now, at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we have some more information on our website, and you'll get an email if you sign up for permanent. But I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of an overview of the kinds of things that you can expect to do on permanent. So with your permanent account, you can create as many what we call archives as you want. And an archive is basically just the digital collection of materials that tell the story of a person, a group or family, or an organization. And so it works a little bit similar to, your kind of other cloud storage providers like Dropbox or Google Drive. You've got a couple of different spaces that you can work in, where you can upload files from your computer, your mobile device. Even we have a mobile app and also tablet apps on the way. So you can upload things, you can organize them into folders to help people kind of navigate and pull things together. You can also, change the names of your files, add metadata like I showed you earlier. We have a couple of different metadata fields. You can put things like dates, descriptions. You can add keywords or tags. You can add the location. And you can also actually add additional metadata. If we don't have that metadata field on permanent, you can kind of create that yourself if you need to. And so with your permanent account, you can create as many archives as you want. You could decide that, maybe each individual person that you've done research on, you've got lots of material, you want to kind of keep their stories separate. You could create a separate archive for each of them. Or you could create one archive that's just, maybe for you or your family, or for all the research you've done, and put it all together. It's kind of up to how you want to organize your materials and how you might expect future researchers to be able to interact with that material. Also in your archive, you've got a couple different workspaces that you can actually see right here. There are a couple different ways that you can share your material on permanent, and I think that's the next, no. Just as a quick overview, there are a couple different ways that we can, share material with others. At permanent, when you upload things, it is private first. We really want to make sure that you have control over how you share and interact with other people. And so when you upload something to permanent, you're probably working in your private files. That's where you can put your material that you want to just keep to yourself, or people who have access to your archive. And only people that you've granted access and have a permanent account would be able to see that. If you did decide that you wanted to share your material, freely on the internet, no login required, you can put that stuff in your public files workspace. And that's what we saw earlier with the dairy archive. All of that material is in that person's public files workspace. And they probably have some things in their private file workspace for that archive as well. But we can't see that. We don't have access to that because we don't have access to the archive. So when you're uploading things to permanent, we like to say if it's made of bits, we will take it. You can preserve basically any file type on permanent for preservation. We do support only a certain limited amount of file types for access on permanent. And that's because we want to try to convert your file into something that we're reasonably certain is going to be able to be opened in the future. And so if you upload something like a proprietary genealogical family tree file, we might not be able to open that in the future, especially if it requires a software that you have to purchase to open the file. We aren't really able to kind of ensure that you're able to open that over time. However, if you upload, kind of your basic files, basically any type of photo, most type of videos, most documents and audio, we're going to try to convert that into something that's kind of more easily handled in our system, and also something that is able to be viewed in your browser. And when you upload something to permanent and it is a supported file type, we are committing to making sure that we can open it in the future. And so we mostly rely on preservation standards that are, open source file types that aren't proprietary, so that, if in the future something like, TIFFs or something like that aren't the image file that's preferred by people anymore. We could go through and convert all of the TIFFs that people have uploaded and ensure that they are openable in the future. But if you do decide that you want to try to preserve something that isn't supported by permanent for viewing, you can do that. The only problem is that somebody is going to have to download that from permanent in order to view it. And so depending on what you're trying to upload, that might work for you. But we do commit to kind of preserving that file as is, even if we don't support it for viewing. And so, like I alluded to earlier, there's lots of different ways that you can collaborate and share on permanent. There are ways that you can add people as members of your archive so that, you know, if you're working with a family member or a friend or a community member who has additional material that you might want to put in your archive, you can always add them to your archive and they can do uploading and things like that. When you add somebody as an archive member on permanent, you also set them an access role, which you can kind of see here in this picture. When you set that access role, you kind of give them different permissions to make changes to your archive. So sometimes you might want to just add somebody as a viewer so that they can see and download the material. But sometimes you actually want to do that collaboration. You've got a whole bunch of photos, but you need a cousin or somebody else to identify people and add metadata. So you're able to kind of control what level of access people have so that there aren't unwanted changes in your archive. If you don't want to share your entire archive with somebody, you can also share individual files and folders between archives. So that gives you the ability to share with other permanent members. A feature that should be coming in the next couple of months actually is the ability to share with people who are not permanent members without publishing it for the whole world to see. So we're going to allow you to create like a share link that you can send out via email or text message or something like that, so that people who, even if they don't have a permanent account, are able to click on it and see select material from your archive. So that should be coming in the next couple of months. And then one last way to kind of share on permanent is to go ahead and publish it to your public gallery. I think that the whole reason that the permanent public gallery exists is that, you know, it ties back to our mission that we want the future generations to be able to learn and grow from, you know, the stories of the past and today. And so by making it publicly available, you are kind of helping us support that mission of making sure that that information is freely available for people. And we understand definitely that there are some materials that you want to keep private and that, or that you might not be ready to make publicly available on the internet, but maybe you want to in the future. And so one of our other features that we have implemented in the past couple of years is what we call legacy planning. And so legacy planning on permanent allows you to kind of decide what you want to happen to your material that you've put on permanent when you are no longer here to take care of it. And so right now, when you create a legacy plan on permanent, you are able to name somebody as what we call an archive steward. And what that archive steward's role is when we have been alerted of your passing or your incapacitation, when you are no longer able to be able to take care of your archive, we're going to reach out to your archive steward and give them ownership of the archives you've created. And so they'll be able to, you know, if you wanted them to continue building your archive, they'll be able to do that. If you wanted to go ahead and like publish all of your material after your death, they could do that for you. This feature is still very much kind of in development. In the future, we're also hoping to add other different ways that you can create a legacy plan. So not only could you create an archive steward or name an archive steward to take ownership of your archives, you could also choose that, you know, in 50 years from today, you want to go ahead and publish your material, or maybe even just publish select material. And so we're always kind of working to build out, you know, permanence features, both to meet the needs of our members, but also kind of meet our mission as a nonprofit to make sure that this information is passed down and available for future generations. So that's just a little bit of an overview of the kinds of things that you can do on permanent. I'm going to walk you through kind of what to expect when you get started on permanent, when you create an account, what your first steps are going to be. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some other options that we provide to learn more about permanent and to kind of get momentum going on a project that you're working on. So creating an account on permanent.org is completely free. And so what that means is not only, as you create and start building your archive that, that account itself is free. If you want to share material with people, or you want your cousin or your a friend or a family member to join your archive so that they can see what's going on, they don't have to pay anything either. The only payment that permanent requires is any material that you upload to permanent. And that, you can purchase as you need it. So you could start with, a gigabyte, and then as you build your archive, you can keep adding more material as you need it. So we actually do provide 1 gigabyte of storage for you to get started. We just want to make sure that, you have the ability to try it out, to see if it's going to work for you, and hopefully get started on a project that's meaningful to you. Like I said before, you can create as many archives as you'd like under your single account, and you can also add as many people to your archives that you build as you want. When somebody signs up for a permanent account and you invite them to your archive, they don't have to create a separate archive. They can just join your archive, and they won't have to pay anything in order to be able to see the material that you've uploaded. And so kind of the first steps you'll go through, this is what our sign up page looks like. We ask for pretty minimal information. We do need your name and email address. You create a password. We have the ability to opt into our emails if you'd like. We are pretty lean in the amount of emails that we send. It's mainly just our monthly newsletter to kind of give you an idea of what we're up to at permanent, new features, things like that, and some help resources for the work that you're doing. Once you have created your account, the first thing that you will need to do is create an archive. And so the first screen that you're going to see, you will have a little drop down here, and you are able to kind of tell us a little bit more about what material you want, what material you're trying to capture in your archive. So that could be stuff about yourself. It could be about your community. It could be about an individual or family member. It could be about your entire family. So you'll kind of choose your archive type, and then you'll be able to name your archive. You're always able to change that later if you need to. And if you decide, you start out creating one archive and you want to start over, you can always create new ones. And so one of the last things that you'll do is just set some preservation goals. As we are trying to kind of help you get started, we want to better understand what you hope to achieve on permanent. So we've got a couple of questions about that. And then once you have finished creating your account, you'll first land in your first archive, and you'll be able to get started. And so definitely learning a new platform can be a challenge. And we have found with our members that it can also be a challenge to take all of the material that you're hoping to digitize or pull together from lots of different digital devices and put it in your archive. It can be a little bit of a laborious process, and it can also be an emotional one too, depending on the kind of material that you're working with. And so we, I think last year, started our Legacy Lab program, which is a free 30-day archiving program where we guide you through kind of getting started on permanent and give you some advice for how to take all of your material, pull it together, and start getting it on permanent. So they are daily emails with kind of like a little homework task every day. And we also hold weekly calls on Fridays so that people can ask questions and kind of learn from each other. We found that our Legacy Lab participants have really appreciated having a cohort of peers who they can kind of talk to, commiserate with, and ask questions. And so we run that program twice a year. Our first one was in March, and the next Legacy Lab is going to begin on October 6th. We're actually going to be changing it a little bit. So it won't be as many daily emails, but you'll be able to log into kind of a portal and be able to access all of the material there. But this is a free program for permanent, and we accept donations for Legacy Lab to continue to support our endowment and our nonprofit mission. And so if you're interested, if you go to permanent.org/legacy lab, you can register for our October 6th start date. If you're looking for something a little bit sooner, like I said, we also hold a monthly member orientation on the second Wednesday of every month. That information is on our website as well. Under events, there should be a calendar and you'll see that every month. So that's basically kind of a quick overview of permanent, why it might be important to start thinking about your digital legacy, and how you can use permanent to ensure that the material that you want to pass down to future generations is hopefully available for people. And so we've got hopefully plenty of time for questions. So I'll go ahead and open it up, and hopefully I'll be able to hear y'all when you ask questions.
Buddy? I'm just exploring the site right now.
I took
Awesome.
the Legacy Lab last year. And I think it was needful because I think there's a lot of I don't know, navigation in the site takes some learning. So I think the Legacy Lab is very worthwhile.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Like I said, we started Legacy Lab last year. We have run it 3 times now, and I think every time we've run it, it's just gotten better. And it's definitely a great way to kind of dive into the permanent platform and learn how to use it better.
So where's your stuff ultimately stored?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a couple of different cloud storage providers that we utilize. Um, I think the 2 main ones are Amazon S3 and Backblaze. Everything kind of goes into that in multiple copies. So if anything ever happens to kind of, one copy or even like, one platform that we use, either Amazon or Backblaze, we're able to kind of, move all of our stuff over to another cloud storage provider. We're also looking into most of those are American based. We're also looking to see if there are any options that we could use that might be outside of the US as well.
So can I just clarify, once you purchase, is it called a membership or what do you call it when you first join up?
Yeah, it's free to join on permanent. So you don't have to pay anything to get started. The only thing that you have to pay for is the storage fees. So as much material as you want to upload, say you've got like 5 GB of photos that you want to upload, you'd pay a storage fee for those 5 GB, and that will cover the cost of preservation over time. So it's $10 per gigabyte, so that'd be $50.
Oh, $10 per gigabyte. So if I had
Yes.
5 GB, it would be $50 to store.
Yes. Yes, but it's a one-time fee. So you've paid once you pay for it, you're not having to pay for it again.
Right. And how many, if someone else wants to add to your archive, they have to be a member, or are you saying that's in the process where they don't have to be a member, but it's not ready yet? Is that correct?
That's a good question. Right now, you do have to be a member in order to add to somebody else's archive. We are creating a way for you to share things with people who don't have logins. That's going to come in the next couple of months. We've talked about potentially using that as a way for people to contribute material to your archive, even if they don't have an account. Um, if we do decide to go that route, there are a little bit of like privacy control concerns. But if we do decide to go that route, that would probably be in the future for us to develop. It's not currently on our roadmap, but it's something we've definitely talked about.
Okay. Thank you.
One more question. So as you grow, let's say you need 10 gigabyte to start with, and each time you grow, it's still the $10 per gigabyte as you go upward, if you need more space.
Yes, yeah. So you could start with, say, 10 gigabytes of storage, and as you fill that up, you get close to hitting that 10 gigabytes. You can always add, 3 more or something to get the rest of your material uploaded to permanent.
You still offer the additional free gigabyte for taking the Legacy Lab course?
That's a good question. We have in the past given out storage to people who complete Legacy Lab. I am not sure at this point if we're going to continue to do that or not. We always do try to kind of one of the things we've done with Legacy Lab is sent out surveys so that we can continue to, refine the program and make it something that's really helpful for people. And so if you participate in those, it's most likely that we're going to send out some free storage as a thank you for, helping us make a better platform.
If you have a photo stored and you have metadata hooked to it, where do you find that?
Sorry, can you say that again? I missed the first part.
If you have a photo and you have metadata to it, where's that stored? Can I access it to the photo?
Yeah, that's a good question. So all of our metadata right now is kind of stored in the permanent database. Depending on what your processes have looked like, when you upload something to permanent, if you have embedded metadata in there, some people like to embed it, especially in photos, like descriptions and things like that. We do try to read that material, and any metadata that's embedded in the file that you upload is always going to remain in that file. We are also working on allowing you to be able to embed metadata when you download it from permanent so that your metadata can come with that file. And that's something that we're working on.
So it's better to have that all embedded before you upload.
Yeah, it can definitely be easier depending on what your kind of your process is. I think it's always really good practice to kind of keep the metadata as close to the item as possible. And that way, hopefully, you don't have to do as much work once it gets onto permanent. We're reading that and putting it in the right place where we can. But if that doesn't end up working out or you do need to change it, you are able to do that on permanent. And like I said, hopefully in the future, sometime soon, you'll be able to download material and that metadata is going to come with it as well.
And are you saying then that if I upload a picture that has metadata embedded, that permanent will read that and populate your metadata spot with that same information?
Yes, that's correct. There is some documentation in our help articles about how we read that embedded metadata. So if that's something you're interested in, I definitely recommend taking a look there so that you make sure it's in the right place. But yes, where we're able to do that, we do try to pull that metadata directly from the file itself.
Section of metadata right here under the help resources.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks.
Caitlin, for coming all the way from Tennessee.
Yeah, I wish I could have joined y'all in person, but that's a pretty far trip.
Yeah, that's great. So we're gonna keep this recording on our website for people who weren't able to make it today to be able to look at. And we've got all your email support here. So thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, if any of y'all have any questions or need anything at all, please feel free to reach out, support@permanent.org. That's probably going to come to me and I'll be able to answer your questions. Or if you want to set up a one-on-one call, I'd be happy to do that to kind of talk about what you want to preserve in particular and how you can get started.
Okay. All right.
Thank
you
you.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.